Hi, everybody. You got Issa and Mike for a very special episode of Expert Q&A. And let me tell you, we have an amazing guest today with 19 PBA titles and 4 MVPs. He is one of the best athletes our country has ever seen, arguably the best basketball player in Philippine history. Well, in my opinion, the best in Philippine history. He is currently the commissioner of the Philippine Sports Commission and also appointed to be the chef de mission in the upcoming 31st Southeast Asian Games in Vietnam. PSC Commissioner Mon Fernandez, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mike and Isa. Good morning to all of you. Maayong buntag from Cebu.
Yeah, maayong buntag. First of all, we can already say congratulations because of this whole Olympics. No, so far the athletes have been performing so well. Of course, Hidilyn winning gold and other athletes poised also to bring home a medal, such as we're still waiting for the competition of Nesty Petesio, who is guaranteed already a bronze finish, and also Yumira Marshall, who is one victory away naman from clinching a medal as well. Plus, we have yet to see the likes of EJ Obiena and Yuka Saso also take center stage, and their performances are also huge accomplishment by your committee and these amazing athletes. So what do you think is different, with the roster this year as compared to yung last na 2016 Rio Olympics?
In 2016, Isa, we had 13 Olympians that went to play in the Rio Games. Today, we have 19. No, that only shows to you guys, to us, that our athletes have indeed stepped up as far as their performances are concerned. No, that's very clear, and it was shown also in the last SEA Games of 2019, where we won the overall championships. No. Comparing it to the 2017 SEA Games also. No? We came in the middle of 2016. Hindi pa namin inabot yung preparations na mga atleta noon, but we did a lot of changes. We changed some policies para bigyan pa ng suporta talaga yung mga atleta natin. There's a saying that athletes are only as good as their competition. So meaning, if you send your athletes to the best competition all over the world, definitely they will improve. No, and that's the only formula that we did, because I know that for a fact. I experienced that myself in my career. Remember, we turned pro in 1975. And it was only in 1990 that I was able again to play for the national team.
Yeah.
So in those years that the basketball wasn't open yet, we only played against each other for so many number of years. No, so I was not able to compete internationally. So sayang, ang dami ko pa sanang natutunan. So in-apply lang namin yan sa mga atleta natin ngayon. Send them abroad. In fact, in the preparation for the SEA Games of 2019, the PSC spent more or less 1.5 billion for their trips abroad, competitions all over the world, no? And we were proven right. They all delivered, no?
Yeah.
So even in the 2018 SEA Games, hindi pa masyado nag-take effect yung improvement nila, no? It was shown in the 2019 games. In 2020, sayang lang nga, nag-lockdown, walang competitions, no formal one-on-one trainings, face-to-face trainings. In 2020, it's a good thing some of our athletes, many of them were based abroad, or we were able to send, like Hidilyn, we were able to send her early 2020 to Malaysia to train. So basically it's allowing these athletes to train at the highest level of competitions all over the world. That was the only thing that we did, no? With the limited budget that the PSC has, no? Considering that nagsara ang PAGCOR where we get majority of our budget, if not all of our budget for the training of the athletes and their allowances, no? Pag-lockdown nung March of last year, can you imagine from 150 million a month na binibigay ng PAGCOR, pagdating ng March, 7 million na lang because of course nag-lockdown ng PAGCOR. No? And slowly improving but still lacking, no? Really, the formula is there. It's just really the funding that's needed. It takes a lot of money to train our athletes, to let our athletes improve in their craft.
So, Commissioner, as you've said, the formula is there. You mentioned nga po the integration of development programs with heavy investments directed towards skill building and training. And binanggit nga rin po ni Chairman Butch Ramirez yung Hidilyn Model. The PSC gave it support for what is now called Team HD, mayroong foreign coach, my strength and conditioning coach, my sports psychologist, masseuse, and even a sports nutritionist. And I believe you also gave the same support system to the likes of EJ Obiena, Carlos Yulo, and Watanabe, among others. And seeing how effective it has been, obviously budget is an issue, but are there any plans in expanding this model to a wider range of athletes, Paul?
Yeah, the PSC has MSAS, medical assistance something for medical assistance for the athletes. No, we have a team of doctors, psychologists, nutritionists, strength and conditioning coaches. Because you know nowadays, Mike and Isa, you cannot just rely on luck and strength of the athletes per se. At least makikita mo yan, no? That's why sports sciences are an integral part of preparing, especially for elite athletes, no? Hindi bali sa grassroots, hindi pa kailangan yung mga yan, no? Nutrition is needed for everybody. But pagdating ng physiology and psychology, dito na sa elite level yan, no? So that's in place already. After Hidilyn won in the Asian Games, we thought of it that kailangan suportahan talaga si Hidilyn with a sports psychologist. No, there were a few concerns namin kay Hidilyn noon. So we understand the issue of mental health of these athletes, especially during the pandemic. When they were all quarantined, training by themselves, no? Walang nakakausap except for sa social media, no? So that's all in place now, Mike, no? Moving forward, that's going to be a vital part of preparing the athletes. I'm talking of the elite program, the national team athletes.
That's really good, Com. I'm happy to hear that you guys are also tackling talaga mental health because that's very important. And actually, this Olympics na naging controversial issue because a US gymnast, si Simone Biles nga, actually left the competition. She didn't participate anymore because of mental health reasons. I guess people don't really understand pa rin at this point kasi that mental health is also part of overall health, no, Com. So, you know, as since you guys have already implemented this nga, giving psychologists to the athletes also, and as an athlete yourself, Com, how important do you think is taking care of your mental health, mental well-being also when it comes to competing?
It's very critical, Isa. No, I experienced that myself. Never mind the year. I won't mention the year anymore. But more or less, you can guess because especially at the time when I was playing coach. No.
Yeah.
I had to go to a psychologist, no, to have sessions with her, you know, because of the pressure of coaching and playing. No, so you really need a psychologist to take care of your mental health. That's why. Yeah. That's precisely why dinicide namin na bawat atleta, team Hidilyn, team Obiena, team so and so. Yulo and everybody else, no, That's an integral part already. You cannot expect athletes to just win by pure strength and luck. Hindi na pwede pabaya natin sa swerte ngayon. No? It's preparation, both physical and mental.
Yun.
Commissioner, speaking of support po, no, time and time again, you've been a huge supporter po of grassroots development, especially allocating our resources to create a conducive environment po for our athletes. Tapos obviously with our athletes performing so well in the Olympics at syempre, pati na rin po sa SEA Games, it's clear that Filipinos have so much talent. Now it's a matter po of fostering it. In terms of the PSC, ano po plans moving forward in order to keep the momentum going? Hindi lang po sa current roster of athletes, pati syempre din po yung mga future generations of promising athletes din po.
Yes, way back in 2018, Mike, I started a program here in the Visayas because I'm oversight commissioner for the Visayas. No? I started what we called before the PSC Visayas Games. Namili kami ng 15 sports. We analyzed the results of the Rio Olympics. Tiningnan namin kung ano yung mga sports na yung mga Asians ang mga nananalo. Because kung mga like Korea, China, the other Thailand, no? Kung ano ba yung mga sports na nananalo sila. Because pare-pareho lang naman ang build natin ng the other Asian countries, no? So that's why saka pinili namin yung individual weight category sports, no? Like boxing, weightlifting, kasama na dyan yung table tennis. We had air rifle shooting also. Sinama lang namin yung arnes being our national sport, no? We had swimming, open water swimming. The Philippines is the fifth longest area as far as coastal area is concerned, no? Length of the coast natin. So pinili din namin yung open water swimming, which is an Olympic event also, no? And several other sports, table tennis, no? I've gone to China together with Miss Luella, in fact, twice, doing some ping pong diplomacy. That's one of the program. And you can see that 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-old kids, they're already starting to train them, not only in table tennis. So precisely that's what we are lacking. Again, it goes back to funds, no? We were not able, I was not able to continue it the following year. We were supposed to expand that to Mindanao Games and Luzon Games and National Games, but due to the lack of funds, really, kaya na-shelved, especially going into 2018 when we had to prepare for the Asian Games and several other games and 2019 SEA Games. So na-shelved ng konti yun. It's all in there sa plano. It's just really just a matter of implementing them and looking for the budget for that. No?
Yes.
So I feel that we have the Batang Pinoy program and the Philippine National Games program. Pero hindi po pwede yung once a year lang na competition na tournament. Eh, no? I am really more focused or advocating. My advocacy is for a quarterly tournament for 15-year-olds and below in all the regions of the Philippines. We have to identify them at that young age. Sorry about that.
Okay lang po.
My guard dog is with me. We have to identify them at that early stages of their lives, no? While mga bata pa sila. So there must be a quarterly tournament for these kids, no? To prepare them for their future. Pagdating nila ng 15, 17, 18 years old, when they are ready to join the national team, then they can move on to the national training centers.
Yeah. In relation to that also, no, do you think that after this gold medal win by Hidilyn and yung great performances ng mga athletes natin since the 2019 SEA Games, tingin mo ba mas mag-a-allot ng more budget government when it comes to sports? Do you think it will change or it will address the lack of support that we still see somehow?
I heard, I saw on TV 3 or 4 days ago, si Spock's Harry Rocky talking about that, no? About urging Congress and the private sector to chime in, to join in, to give more budget. I really hope so, no? Lalong na bawasan nga tayo because of the pandemic. We really rely on PAGCOR, on the income of PAGCOR for the training of the athletes, their allowances, the training and competitions abroad. We rely on that. But since na-deplete yan, talagang na-limit din ang anong tawag na, bibisaya na ako eh. Yung galaw namin, no?
Yes.
Our actions are limited. We cannot really implement the grassroots program, which we feel is very critical to feed the national team programs, the elite programs. No? So I'm hoping more budget will be provided for by Congress and PAGCOR, of course. So, hoping that, well, tapusin muna natin itong problema natin sa COVID na pandemic.
Yes.
This is really the major cause that brought us down as far as supporting our athletes, training of our athletes.
Yes. Com, I saw a statement of yours also that you said that NSAs should also try asking for LGU's help. How important, for those of us who don't know, yung mga laymen, how important is the help of the LGUs also when it comes to these athletes' successes?
Well, all of us start our athletics careers, all athletes start from their locality.
Yes.
I started my basketball career when I was a kid in the elementary years in Maasin, Southern Leyte, Maasin City, Southern Leyte. No? I was lucky that our mayor then had a program for sports. There were tennis tournaments, basketball tournaments, and more volleyball, and a few others. No, that's why early on in our administration, we went around the country talking, encouraging the LGUs to come up with their sports commissions, sports program. Maski mamili lang sila ng 3 or 5 sports na depende sa kakayanan nila, no? So I guess marami namang nag-react na, marami nang may mga sports programs na gano'n, no? So yeah, we're really just hoping na matapos tong pandemic so we can go back again. In fact, right now, we have a sports summit. The PSC has a sports summit. We're talking to all the sports stakeholders all over the country, the DepEd and the LGUs. They have representatives in the webinar to talk about it, to plan. We are engaging them. We are including them. This is inclusive, no? Sports development should be shared by everybody. We get their suggestions, and then after the webinars, the summit, we will collate all of them and plan a well-planned grassroots programs involving DepEd and the LGUs.
All right. Regarding support, this is my last question on this. I'm curious what you think about, kasi si what do you call this? Michael Martinez is already asking for crowdfunding now when it comes to the Winter Olympics. How effective do you think that is? And do you think talagang like people or supporters can also support the athletes individually?
Yes, they can do that. Several athletes have done that. No, we welcome that. In fact, there's a provision in the PSC law, the Republic Act 6847, creating the PSC law, that when a corporation or when private individuals donate to the athletes, it's tax deductible, gross income tax nila, and walang donors tax. In fact, that was discussed by the BIR now with regards to Hidilyn's windfall, no? So tax deductible naman yan. So ang importante lang, like what you mentioned, the NSA officials should step up. No,
Yes.
they have to be more transparent in their financial dealings. No, para makita naman kung saan talaga napupunta yung mga private support. No, yun lang.
Yeah.
For me personally, yun ang naintindihan ko. That's what I know. Coming from the private sector, that they just want to make sure that the little money that they give to the NSAs are well accounted and used properly.
Yeah.
No? Ganon lang naman eh. I'm sure a lot of, especially now, a lot of companies will really support the athletes. No?
Thanks, Com.
Commissioner Mon, actually, you brought it up rin po kanina. You said na you're only as good as your competition. Kung magaling ang competition mo, gagaling ka rin. If you have the skill, you will rise and improve also in your development. And you brought it up in briefly earlier, but how big do you think was the SEA Games in helping these athletes prepare for the Olympics po?
The SEA Games is, if we compare it, if we look at the local scenario, yung SEA Games is the barangay games of the IOC. No? Pinaka mababang tournament yan. Sunod na yung Asian Games, the International Games, the World Championships. That's at a much higher level. And of course, the Olympics. So it was a good moral booster for them. No? Confidence builder para sa mga atleta natin. Eh, nadala nila yon. Sayang nga lang, natigil sila ng training ng 2020. But nadala nila yon. We qualified, 19 of our athletes qualified for the Olympics. That's a clear proof of their leveling up, they're stepping up in their performances. No? So, yeah, that was a very good morale booster for our athletes. No? Because nanggaling, they were able to travel all over the world, compete at the highest level of competitions. No? Most of them experienced that the first time, no? Because naglagay din kami ng policies, I think that started in 2017, that we would allow each NSA to travel twice a year to compete at the world level twice a year because of budgetary constraints also, no? These are the national athletes. Twice silang lumalabas to compete at the world stage. Yung mga youth program naman nila, inallow namin to go out once a year, no? Sana kung malaki ang budget natin, palagay ko kung merong 6 billion to 10 billion budget ang Philippine sports for the athletes, wow, they will be all over the world whole year round. I know for a fact, yung isang Malaysian sports association, karate, 12 months a year, they're out in Europe training for their karate classes. Wala pa rin silang mag-qualify sa Olympics, I believe. No? So kulang talaga. It has to be an ongoing, continuing program.
Yes. I really hope that after this Olympics, no comment, that things will change talaga for our national athletes. And sana mas mabigyan sila ng bigger support, bigger budget as well. Pero let's go back to the SEA Games nga. Of course, as we all know, COVID talaga has hindered competitive sports. And since nakapause tayo ngayon, training became interrupted also. In fact, the Vietnam Southeast Asian Games were also postponed to 2022 over nga COVID-19 fears. Pero tingin mo ba ko magkakaroon pa tayo na, should we expect any more delays, or are you optimistic na tuloy na talaga to sa 2022?
We will never know, Lisa, no? We are really dependent on, now there's the Delta variant, no? That's why up to now, Vietnam has not decided yet on when to hold the SEA Games, no? We hear March, April, we don't know, no? That's why we were originally scheduled to start training July 1 for our athletes sa bubble training. But again, itong cases ng COVID sets in, na-postpone yung Vietnam. So we are in a quandary really, no? We're playing it by ear. We can start, we're looking at August or September again to restart the training program, the bubble training program. But again, dependent on the COVID issue, no?
Yeah.
So COVID problem. So really, wala tayong magagawa masyado, no? But hope and pray that everything else improve, no? Hopefully, we're hoping and praying that by at least by December or early next year, we would have vaccinated the majority of our citizens na magkaroon na tayo ng herd immunization going into the next year. So at least there's a semblance of normalcy with regards to our training program and training schedules. No?
Yeah.
So yeah, although on their own, the athletes for the SEA Games are continuing their individual trainings. No,
Yes.
Some have started. Our kickboxing team, the Muay Thai, they're up in the north in Baguio, La Trinidad area, and some are in the Visayas.
Yes.
Fencing and archery is in Dumaguete. Weightlifting is continually going on here in Cebu, Bohol, and Zamboanga, and some other sports. No, they try to make do of what can be done, what they can do as far as individual training is concerned.
Yeah.
Sige.
Go ahead.
Commissioner, speaking of the 2022 SEA Games nga po, no, you were very recently named the chef de mission. So, ibig sabihin po, you'll be responsible in overseeing success of our athletes. And lalo na, since in 2019 nga po, they were very, very successful. In fact, as you know nga, they were the SEA Games overall champion. So, you touched onto it kanina nga po, the trainings, yung mga bubble trainings nga po na hindi pa natutuloy. So on your end naman po, how are the preparations po going so far?
Well, it's suspended, Mike. No.
Yeah.
As I said, for one, we haven't heard from Hanoi kung kailan talaga ang SEA Games when they want to open. No? We will base our decisions, of course, in cooperation, in partnership with a different national sports association, kung kailan nila gusto, how many months do they need prior to the opening of the SEA Games, do they need to train their athletes? So it will be dependent. They have to come up with a training program. Ngayon, hindi lang training program ang kailangan i-submit nila sa PSC, but even their protocols, no?
Wow.
On how they will undergo their training, taking into consideration the health protocols that's required by the IATF, no? So yeah, we're at that stage, really, Mike, no?
Do you think that, with everything that we went through in this pandemic, no, siguro one of the hardest hit people talaga are the athletes kasi talaga na-interrupt yung training nila eh. But do you think that this pandemic kind of discouraged the athletes in a way or encouraged them more talaga para magpursige lalo?
Basically, sa tingin ko, na-discourage sila for a short time lang. No?
Yeah.
But they were able to come up with that. Sanay naman yung mga atleta natin, they know how to keep themselves in shape all year round. Wala lang talagang competition. As I said, competition is what makes an athlete, no? Yeah. So yun lang ang nawala sa kanila. So diyan na papasok din yung psychological issue, no?
Yes.
So yung psychological support, that's precisely why we have the medical team, no? So they have a regular session, webinars with our psychologists also. Galing. So doon lang talaga. The athletes know how to keep themselves in shape. So that's what's more important, really.
Commissioner, as you've said nga po, for some training have been postponed. And the COVID-19 has caused a lot of issues for our athletes. But thankfully, that didn't hinder a lot of them to continue their training and preparations for the competitions. And I want to pivot lang po real quick, of course, as a basketball legend yourself, to talk about Gilas Pilipinas. So you have undeniable and incredible basketball knowledge and mind, and whatever you say has a lot of weight. Tapos when the prospect of the recent iteration nga po of Gilas was brought up, Binanggit ninyo na you think the Gilas program is on the right path, that this team should remain intact in the years leading up to the FIBA World Cup po in 2023. So after a promising bout in recent tournaments, the future does seem very bright. How is their potential po moving forward, and what do you think this team needs to take things to another level?
Yeah, this team will definitely be a successful team going into the future if they are able to keep the team intact. A few changes here and there, one or two changes, three player changes is okay. Meron namang, I would like to believe at least 16 in the lineup, no? May mga reserves naman talaga sila yan. So they have to continue this, no? Hindi pwede yung ginagawa natin several years way back na every time there's an international competition, we form the team 1 month, 2 months. Yung sa amin ng Asian Games preparations in 1990, 2 weeks preparation lang, no? So hindi talaga pwede yun, no? Especially in the game of basketball where 5 players play at the same time together. Teamwork has to be really there, no? That's the number one formula for a team to be really successful, to be a winning team, no? Teamwork. So I hope they would really keep this team intact and moving forward, no? I haven't been really following their program ever since, honestly. I have to admit, ever since I retired way back in 1994, hindi na ako masyado nag-follow ng basketball. I only really watch every now and then championship games, perhaps, no? And some few international games. But when I saw this, when I found out about this program of the young kids that they're ginawa nilang team, no? Binuo nilang team, the young kids na. So that's a long-term program in effect. No?
Yes. Com, what do you think about the ano naman? Kasi there are so many other leagues now that are coming up, no? Of course, PBA has restarted already. Pero there are other leagues such as yung WNBL, diba? We have a women's league now, which is exciting for sure. We also have Vismin Cup ongoing, Phil Basket. What do you think about all these leagues going on, especially during this pandemic?
Of course, I welcome them, no?
Yeah.
Maraming atleta, maraming mga kabataan natin ma-involved sa sports rather than kung saan-saan sila mapapunta. This is always a welcome thing for me, no? Dapat nga every region should have a league, no? Of sorts, no? Whatever sports, no? So malayo yung mga kabataan natin sa mga vices for one, no? Gives them the opportunity to study, no? You know very well, we all know that almost all major schools in Metro Manila and in big cities, they scout athletes from all over and give them scholarships, no? So maganda, it's a welcome thing for me.
Yan. Com, before we end, no, we're just curious. I'm personally curious. No, what do you think? How do you think people can support our athletes more by just watching, siguro giving other sports a chance? What do you think it is that we can do?
For those who are far away, well, although they can use social media now to show their support, no? Definitely, athletes need encouragement, and they can very well motivate our athletes by showing their support. No? Most of the athletes naman natin nasa social media din naman sila. So giving a word, a message, a word or two, encouraging them. No? That's extra push of their adrenaline, especially for our remaining Tokyo medalists. Hoping to medal in Tokyo, no? We still have Petencio, Yumer Marshall, as you mentioned, Yulo, Sasu, Pagdanganan, Pagunsan, and Obiena. Well, I think that's about it, no? If I didn't forget anything. So let's continue to pray for them. Like si Hidilyn mismo, excuse me, sinabi niya, gawa na ng Diyos yung nangyari sa kanya. No? Laging tangan-tangan niya yung medal ng Our Lady of Miraculous Lady.
Yes.
No? Because never, as she mentioned, never in her life was she able to lift 127 kilograms. No?
Yes.
In her practices, hindi talaga daw niya nalilift doon. So nagulat patid daw siya, nabigla siya, na-lift niya yung ano. So prayers can really also help, no? And faith, resiliency. No? So let's all pray for our remaining athletes. And I'm just very happy, Isa and Mike, that my fearless forecast before the Olympics na mag-multi-medal tayo. Hindi ko lang mention yung color. No? I don't want to forecast the colors, but sabi ko, I think karoon tayo ng multi-medals, knowing how our athletes leveled up in the past 3 years in their competition. So true enough, meron na tayong at least 3 medals for now. Hindi pa natin alam ang kulay talaga nung dalawa. So, we have to congratulate our athletes. They are a unifying factor. So isa lang yun ang pakiusap ko din. Huwag na sanang gamitin sa politika. Marami na namang nagbabash. No? Everybody makes mistake. Even athletes and government officials and whoever. We're not perfect. So let's savor the win. We've been waiting for this for 97 years rather. So let's enjoy this. More are coming. So let's unite sa sports man lang sana, no? One thing we can assure our public, our sports lovers, as stakeholders and our athletes, that we are doing everything in the PSC. The government is doing everything to support our athletes. I always say, as I've said before, the athletes never had it so good except in this administration. Nakita nyo naman, maswerte tayo, tinayo na, final ni Senator Bongo yung National Academy for Sports. Yun na ang kulang natin, Isa and Mike. No? Nandyan pa yung Philippine Training Center na itatayo sa Bataan. No? Binigyan tayo, pasalamat tayo sa leadership ng Bataan, ng mga Garcias, na binigyan ang gobyerno, ang PSC ng 25 hectares na ilalagay yung National Training Center. Something like a Rizal Memorial Coliseum will be there. No? And of course, more importantly, yung National Academy of Sports. I would like to congratulate everybody. Lahat tayo merong support kay Hidilyn and to all the athletes for that matter. No? We are part of their success because what is spent for all our athletes are taxpayers' money. No? So lahat tayo nakakontribute. So what? Let's continue to pay our taxes.
Tama nga naman.
Yeah. Really. We just need funding sa Southeast Asia kasi nasa mababa, if not pinakamababa, pangalawa, pangatlo sa pinakamababang budget tayo. No? Yung mga Singapore and all, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, nasa 8-10 billion a year na tayo. Tayo, a little less than 2 billion a year pa lang. No? So that's the discrepancy. It's really about funding, really.
Yes. Grabe, Com. This has been a very, very insightful conversation. Sana we had another hour to do this. But before we close, next time, Com. But before we close, no, I just wanted to ask, how proud are you of our athletes, especially the 19 Filipino athletes who made it to the Tokyo Olympics this year and continue to impress?
Of course, just like all of us, just like everybody, I share the pride that Hidilyn has achieved and all the other athletes that are still going to achieve. Yeah, as I said, lahat tayo nag-contribute naman in our own little way. So we're just really thankful and happy, triply, quintuply happy that the first gold medal happened during our administration. No?
Yeah.
So during the administration of President Duterte. Yun ang number one order ni President Duterte kay Chairman Isa. Take care of our athletes, feed them, give them billeting. That's why una nating in-address yung nutrition ng mga athletes.
Yes.
Ginawa natin ng canteen sila sa Rizal Memorial, sa Ultra at sa Baguio. Because before, binibigyan lang ng PSC ang mga atleta ng 5,000 pesos over and above their allowance for their food allowance. Eh alam mo naman yung mga atleta natin, most of them coming from the provinces, yung perang nakukuha nila, pinapadala pa nila sa pamilya nila outside.
Yes,
So ang kinakain na lang nila is yung ano ba yung pansit na yung noodles.
Pansit. Cup noodles.
Cup noodles, no? So nagsasaga sila. So what happened to their nutrition? So ginawa namin, over and above that, dinagdagan pa namin, nagtayong kami ng canteens run by nutritionists. Meron silang 600 pesos above a day budget, no? 200 for breakfast and 200 for lunch and dinner, no? So again, pinutol naman ng COVID ito lahat nito, no? So we will continue with that, no? So as I said, the athletes really never had it so good compared to the previous years.
Actually, I think what people don't realize, Com, is that there are a lot of factors talaga that contribute to our athletes' successes. So I just want to say thank you talaga to the PSC and everyone who has been making it happen for our athletes, no? Kasi ang galing overall na siya now, not just the facilities or the support, the encouragement, also the nutrition and mental health, which is so great to hear.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Isa, the facilities at the Rizal Memorial Complex, Ultra, and even Baguio, no? They were all fixed during last year, no?
Yes.
So natapos na yan, ready to take in the athletes because all of that, the athletes used to live in the Rizal Memorial Coliseum, at Phil Sports, and in Baguio. So hopefully again, when the pandemic is over, they will be all going back there, the national team athletes.
Galing.
So again, Commissioner Mon, congratulations. This whole thing is such a huge accomplishment, not only for athletes, but syempre na rin sa Philippine Sports Commission. You deserve a lot of credit in what we're seeing right now. And so everybody, once again, PSC Commissioner Mon Fernandez, thank you for joining us today and for sharing your knowledge to all of us. At syempre, we wish you the best of luck, especially with our athletes moving forward, and hopefully more financial backing. Kung nakikinig sa atin na merong dyan, baka trust fund kayo, pwede kayong mag-donate sa PSC. It's gonna go to a great, great cause. So once this has been Isa and Mike, thank you everybody for joining us sa Expert Q&A. And again, Commissioner Mon, maraming salamat din po.
Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang atletang Filipino.